interesting, is it, with the mainstream media, how they treat people? Do you know what I mean? One person can completely be vilified across all networks, while the other of the same age group seemingly can get away with it. As ever, let me explain. Hi, good morning. Neil Sean here in the very heart of London, once again on a night shoot. I hope you're all well, keeping fine and dandy. Not as chilly as it looks, but winter is here, as we often say. There's been a cold front, as we know, this week for the lady Susan Hussey, a lady who's given her life to dedication assisting our wonderful British monarchy, and sadly been removed on the whim of seemingly on the word of someone with hardly great credentials themselves. But enough about Marlene Headley. She's had enough headlines, enough publicity, and more importantly, still searching for those all-important donors to maintain that £65,000 a year salary, which she picks up minus expenses. I'll leave that there. But as ever, it's interesting, as I say, with the mainstream media, because earlier last week, they had on the Harry Potter actress, Miriam Margolyes. That's right. She was across the ITV network, appearing on the daytime TV show This Morning, with those now infamous cube jumpers, allegedly, Holly and Phil. Remember those? And what's interesting here is This Morning always booked Miriam, seemingly because she's outrageous, says something controversial, and then they scoop up the social media posts, Everybody's talking about her, and then they get people, hopefully, to watch the clips. And then hopefully people might tune into the show. Doesn't always correlate, though. What's interesting also to note is that Miriam is around about the same age as Lady Susan Hussey. But here's where there's a big difference. With Lady Susan Hussey, her story was made to be the main feature across all those news bulletins for at least 2 days running. Interesting to note that, isn't it? But Miriam Margolyes was being interviewed and offering Christmas tips, as well as pushing her own book. Also, let's not forget this is Miss Margolyes who openly admitted on national television that she wished the former British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Boris Johnson, dead. That's right. She actually said she'd hoped that he died. Incredible to think that she's still working or indeed being offered work on any television network. A little bit later on, she was also rude about the Chancellor on BBC Radio 4, calling him a rude word, but once again, seemingly still being booked. But on this particular chat with Holly and Phil, she referred to disabled people as cripples, not once, but twice. They looked hastily chastised, but not enough really to basically knock her back and put her in her place, just smirking and looking away as if, what can we do? But you see, that wasn't picked up once by the mainstream media, or indeed the network of which she was appearing. No correction, no nothing. So you understand that even though these two ladies are of a very similar age, you can't necessarily blame it on a generational thing. It's how the mainstream media decide to portray you. But more importantly, because Lady Susan Hussey has an impeccable background and delivered years of service to the British monarchy, this was a far juicier story, while Miriam Margolyes, as ever, was simply providing entertainment. It's interesting, isn't it? Both were covered on ITV, both were covered by the mainstream media, but both covered very differently. As ever, I'd love to know what you think to this particular story in the comments below. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.